What are we brewing today? The first thing many of us do when we wake up in the morning is have a cup of coffee. When we seek a boost of energy, we have a cup of coffee. When we want to enjoy a moment with a friend, what do? We have a cup of coffee. Do we know the full details of what is in our cup of coffee? From the earth where it is planted, to the growing, the picking, the production, the roasting, the brewing, the whole process. Today, my guest will share with us what coffee means to him, and he will enrich us with all the details of every step of the coffee process, all over a nice cup of coffee. So let's get to it and ask 10 questions to my extraordinary guest, Bahaa Massoud. Hi, Bahaa.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks. And you?
I'm doing very well.
So I'm so happy that you're here.
Oh,
you
same,
reached out to
same,
me, and this
yes.
is a subject that everybody is interested in right now. It's a very
Hopefully.
trendy subject, but we want to get to know a lot of the details that we don't know about. So, but first, tell us a little bit about
Okay,
yourself.
first of all, thank you for having me today here. It's really nice to be talking about the subject I really love.
You're very passionate about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my name is Bahaa,
Yeah.
and I've been working in the coffee industry for around like 3 years.
Okay.
That was not my main thing I used to do before,
Yeah.
but it led me to work in coffee as well.
Okay.
Do
Do you want to tell us what you studied?
Yeah, sure. I did nursing in
Yeah.
Balamand, and then I did social work.
Okay.
And I used to work with the UNICEF on several projects as a social worker to
Okay.
do a lot of studies and like data research and such a thing.
Okay.
And at the same time, I used to work as a barista.
Okay.
I had that love for coffee, but I never had the chance to learn about it.
Okay.
So I had the chance to work somewhere in Beirut in a coffee shop just to earn more money.
Mhm.
And from there, I discovered something that there's a lot that we don't know about coffee.
Mhm.
And that we always had been having this like bitter coffee each and every day.
Yeah.
And at that time, I thought, I don't have the same food each and every day. Why I'm supposed to be having the same coffee each and every day?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it started by reading like couple of books we had at the time at that coffee shop. And I
Uh-huh.
started discovering that there is something called specialty coffee,
Right.
which is at that time didn't trend in Lebanon, or like very few amount of people knew about. So I started like searching more about it, reading more about it, discovering what does it really mean. And at that time I got really confused, honestly.
That's very special that a young man would think, oh, I'm drinking the same cup of coffee every day. I mean, usually we don't give a second thought
Yeah.
about it.
See, at that time, I thought about it because I really love food.
Okay.
And I don't like to eat the same food each and every day,
Okay.
that much.
So same for coffee.
Same for coffee. And I
Okay.
thought like, even for people, they've been used to drinking the same coffee each and every day, and they never had the thought that I had,
Mhm.
like to compare it with food.
Right.
And then I started talking more about it to my friends, and then it became something interesting for me to talk about and to know more about.
Mhm.
So as I said, like in the beginning, it was really super confusing. Like I didn't know who to ask about it or what really the right information is. So I was just like blindly going through it.
Right.
Uh,
Doing your own research.
exactly,
Okay.
yeah. Getting myself a little bit more developed into it.
Mhm.
But it was blindly. It was super confusing, honestly.
Okay.
Like I didn't know where to go, who to ask. And then slow, I started going from one coffee shop to another.
Mhm.
And see, in my opinion, in Lebanon, they don't give that much amount of care for the barista.
Okay.
So,
the barista, the person, you mean?
yeah, as a person, as a
Okay.
job.
Okay.
So
You mean
it
they
was
don't
really
they
rough.
don't teach them enough? Is that what you mean?
They do teach them enough.
Okay.
But like, see, if something isn't that well known among all people, how this barista is gonna know it?
Okay.
So I was searching for something that was not that much common,
Okay.
and it was really tough at that time. So I went just like from one coffee shop till another,
Mhm.
and like slow developed more a better idea about it. Started doing more online courses, asking more about it, trying different coffees, and slow it led me to better coffee.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So where did you find the better coffee?
So basically, I worked at different coffee shops, a
Mhm.
lot of coffee shops. Then I discovered that there is a couple of coffee shops that serve good coffee in
Mhm.
Beirut. After that, I worked like for a year as a barista, and I started having a different mentality.
Okay.
I thought like, I worked as a barista, but where does this coffee come from?
Right.
And I started looking to things differently.
Mhm.
So
So you're
after
looking
being-
for the source of the coffee.
Exactly.
Okay.
So after being a barista, I really wanted to go into roasting.
Oh,
It
okay.
was really interesting for me.
So a step ahead of the barista.
Yes.
Okay.
Not like barista is a job and the roaster is a job. It's
Okay.
like not stepping ahead. It's just something different.
No, I mean the process before the barista.
Exactly, the
Yeah.
process before. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So I was really interested in roasting.
Okay.
And the struggle here, it really became super hard because like barista, I might learn, but roasting is really hard. And
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And you need like specific roasting machines.
Okay.
And it's not like roasting for Turkish coffee or for like dark bitter coffee, which is like you can do it in any normal roaster. You need like specific machines with the specific applications. So I started doing my research about roasting.
Okay.
And at that time, I met Saeed, which is my teacher. He was doing a tour in Beirut, and I was working as a barista, and I met him and Wadia.
Yeah.
And at that time, they told me that they were working on a project after like 8 months.
Yeah.
And if I'm willing to learn roasting, they can take me. And here, like, it's as if you're giving me a gift.
Yeah, it was Christmas.
Exactly. It was more than a Christmas, honestly. They left the coffee shop. I was really happy to meet someone who's really knowledgeable about what he's doing. And I started like dedicating all my time. I left nursing, I left the social work.
Oh, you were still working as a nurse at the time?
As a social work, yes.
As a social worker, okay.
I left everything,
Right.
and I started working 2 to 3 shifts per day as a barista.
Oh, okay.
To make as much as I can experience, to get to interact with people.
Yeah.
Which is the part that really connected me between social working, nursing, and brewing coffee.
Yeah, I want to ask you, so I want to ask you what is the link between nursing and social work and coffee, and it's linking with people, it's connecting with people for you, right? Yeah.
For me, it's one of the most things I really enjoyed, and I still really enjoy today, which is sharing a cup of coffee and talking about different things with people. It really makes the atmosphere really interactive.
Okay.
And as being a social worker, I used to go and talk to a lot of people, different ages, different jobs, and
different backgrounds.
Exactly, different mentalities.
Yeah.
And I really loved that because like in each and every person, I learned something from.
Right.
So when it came to coffee, I used to meet a lot of people each and every day.
Yeah.
And all of those people, I've seen them in all their moods, like happy, sad.
Yeah, so if you're happy, you have a cup of coffee. If you're sad, you want to take a cup of coffee to feel better, right?
It's for all occasions.
Yeah.
So seeing those people each and every day, happy and sad, made me even wanted to brew them better coffee, to make them feel that they are really special about something.
Okay.
So I started making more effort to interact more with the people and trying to teach them there is something different in this coffee. And people were really responding in a great way.
Oh, really? They were interested?
Super interested.
Oh, that's great.
Because like people never thought that they can drink a black coffee, for example, like normal black coffee without milk and find it sweet. It was like really something super weird for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought us some coffee today.
I did.
So what kind of coffee did you bring us?
This is an Ecuadorian coffee.
Yeah.
It's a medium light roast. And if you taste this coffee, it doesn't taste like coffee.
Right.
It's not supposed to taste like coffee.
Okay, so before we taste the coffee, what makes a coffee a good coffee? Because there's a lot of factors like temperature, water, acidity.
Yes. So basically, if you want, we don't get to approach it as good or bad coffee. Because at the end of the day, it's really about the perspective of people.
Okay.
Like, for example, if you like Nescafe, let's say, or anything like instant coffee, you just like it.
Okay.
But
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Because like different people with different backgrounds, like even they perceive taste differently. We can't like judge them depending on the coffee quality. But what we can say and do is that this coffee works for us and this coffee doesn't.
Okay.
This is depending on taste. But if we're talking about the quality, then there's for sure a standard for quality.
Okay.
And many things affect this quality standards, starting from the farm, which is something super important as for specialty coffee. But before like we get to dial in about to talk like just Heike, a fast recap about everything. Specialty coffee is really a confusing word for everyone.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, what's
because
so confusing?
Like people use it as a marketing thing, or they just refer to it as something special.
Right, to grab your attention.
Exactly.
Okay.
So usually I like to talk about coffee generally.
Okay.
Because like coffee really means for each and every person different thing. Like for someone, it's just maybe a latte or cappuccino or anything he might drink.
Yeah.
For me, for example, it's green beans that I want to roast.
Okay.
For the farmer, for example, it's a fruit, a tree, and the processing methods.
Okay.
So it's really different perspectives. In my opinion, what specialty coffee is, it's like having this whole chain together and treating this whole chain in a really consistent, high quality standard.
It's fascinating because the chain involves people from all over the world.
Exactly.
It's just incredible, and it
Yes.
brings people from all over the world
Yes.
together.
So this is another interesting part about coffee,
Right, yeah.
that it doesn't like only served for like specific people.
Yeah.
It's being produced, brewed, served for everyone,
Right.
which is the nice thing. And like it really holds on the other way, it really holds a moral, ethical reason, specialty coffee, and that's why really I got to be more loving it.
Okay, so what are the ethical reasons behind specialty
For
coffee?
me, it's
Yeah.
like trying to teach people more about it, so they get to be more about something. They should get to pay more for it,
Okay.
because if you
To get
think-
value for your money, you mean?
to get value for this coffee,
Yeah.
for the producer and the farmer that's producing this
Okay.
coffee.
All the way to the start.
Yes,
of
this
the
is the main
process.
important thing.
Okay.
If you want a good coffee, you're gonna track from the beginning.
Right.
So if we're tracking the coffee from the beginning, why we shouldn't make those people more better, get paid better, and live a better life? Why should we only drink good coffee?
Because the farmers, they get paid very little.
Yes, as I know, yes.
Yeah. So this is what you're getting at. The
Yes,
farmers, they hardly
exactly.
see anything from this whole
Exactly.
process, right?
Exactly. So coffee is really holds a lot of aspects, and what makes coffee different from one to another, it's like its origin, its variety, the altitude that the coffee has been grown on, and the processing methods, the roasting and the brewing. So it's everything.
Okay.
Specialty coffee is a very long chain, and it's only really observed and held well whenever we do really good quality control activities along the whole long chain.
So where does coffee come from?
So basically, coffee comes from a tree. It's a fruit, which is people really don't know sometimes. And this is really makes sense why coffee shouldn't taste bitter. Like if we think about it, when did we eat some kind of fruits that tasted super bitter?
Yeah, because coffee is a fruit,
Yeah, it
and
is.
it's called cherry on the tree,
Yes.
and it's the pit of this cherry that makes the coffee
Seeds,
bean.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it grows on a tree as
Yeah.
a fruit, and inside each of those fruits there's like two seeds, and then they collect the seeds and they
Okay.
process it in a certain way, which gives us a certain flavor when we roast it.
So we roast the seeds of the cherries on the tree.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
After roasting them, there's definitely, as you said, like a lot of variables we need to take into consideration, as grind size, temperature, and a lot of aspects that gets involved in the taste of the coffee that can change the taste.
Okay.
So all of those things are really involved in specialty coffee, and that's what makes it a little bit different than commercial coffee.
Okay.
Its taste, the quality of the green beans we use, because like even if we got another type of quality of green beans lower, we're not gonna get the same flavor even if we roast it well. It's not magic.
Right.
Roasting is just like showing the really good flavors of those green beans.
Is it all mostly in the roasting, the specialty coffee?
It's in everything, as I
Oh,
said,
okay.
in the whole longer chain,
Okay.
in the harvestation, in the processing methods, in
Right.
drying, even in storage,
Okay.
in roasting, and even in brewing.
Right.
And this is why I always like to say that we should support baristas a lot in Lebanon.
Uh-huh.
Because like for me, from what I experienced, they give a lot of validity, and they really take care of bartenders in Lebanon. And they really neglect the barista. It's like something normal for them, a
Right,
barista. But whenever
right.
someone says he's a bartender, it looks more
Oh.
interesting.
Okay.
And this is
So
something,
the image is like more important
Exactly,
sort of
yes.
thing. Yeah, okay.
and this is really something I'm trying to work on to really make a change, and to make baristas get paid more well, and to make a barista a really job that's really appreciated.
Right, but how would you do that? Like, is it in the more commercial chains also, or even just in the small shops?
In everything.
Oh, okay.
In everything. By trying to make more friends, to teach them more about coffee, to try to
Right.
educate them more, and to open their eyes more. And I always get to tell my friends that works as barista, the only way to increase your wages and to make of your job a good place and a good title is to work on yourselves.
Okay.
The more you work on yourselves, the more you're gonna get paid, and the more this job is gonna be more honored.
You think that the culture in Lebanon will help that? Will
Slow,
permit it?
slow,
Yeah.
it will happen. Everything slow will happen. As
Yeah,
like
because
there's
the
a
work
nice thing-
culture, yeah, is a
Yeah.
little bit difficult.
the culture is a little bit difficult,
Right.
but this had happened everywhere,
Okay.
and change is always gonna happen. So there's something nice that my teacher always got to say, that a pregnant woman cannot deliver a baby in not in 1 month. It's
Right.
really a long time.
Yeah.
So it's in the same thing.
Okay.
Whenever I got like to do something and I'm really motivated about it, he reminds me about that it really takes time
It takes
to have
time.
change. Yeah.
So what kind of flavors can we taste in different beans?
So basically, as a flavor, and this is really something that people get to have a mistake, and we only can taste 5 basic flavors, which is like sweet, salt, umami, and sour and bitter. Everything else that we perceive is like aroma, fragrance, and smelling through our retronasal
Right.
cavities.
Do you want to explain a little bit umami, because not everybody knows exactly what
Sure.
what the
Umami is a
specific-
type of salt that whenever we eat, our brains craves more for it. So it's like type of carbohydrates and the proteins that our brain really craves for this type and makes it like it's savory. It's
Right.
like something you eat, you want to eat more from it.
like a donut or something like this.
It
or-
can be anything.
Yeah,
Anything
yeah.
that
Chocolate
you
or
can't just stop having from it.
Right.
It's more as a sensation that
Okay.
we feel that we need to be drinking or having this thing more and more.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But what kind of flavors? Because you said sometimes you can have a nutty flavor, you can have chocolate or fruity.
As a flavor notes,
Yeah.
we call them as a flavor notes, but
Yeah.
basically we smell them.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we smell them through our nose,
Yeah.
and even whenever we sip them or drink them, we're smelling them.
Okay.
So like it can be a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really got affected by the terroir of the coffee living, the altitude,
Mm-hmm.
and of the coffee origin.
Okay.
Each coffee origin gets to give a different specific characteristic for its coffee.
Right,
It's
right.
like people.
Okay.
A person from here and there is going to be different in the way they talk,
Yeah.
the way they look, and it's something normal for coffee.
Yeah.
It's really, people really got confused about it, but if they get to compare it with any kind of fruit, different fruit like mangoes, for example,
Mm-hmm.
we have different kind of mangoes from Egypt, Lebanon, Peru, and many kinds, and each one of them tastes differently, and each one of them had a different price and a
Right.
different smell. But at the end of the day, they are all mangoes, but they're
Okay.
really different.
Okay.
So the aroma or the flavors are really affected by the origin and variety of the coffee itself, the processing method, and the roasting, which is super important. Why usually we don't get to perceive those flavors or smells in the commercial coffee or in any dark burnt coffee? Because like if we need to make it super simple, roasting is like light, medium, and dark. But whatever we see around is like really dark roasted, which do have different reasons.
In the commercial shops.
Yes. Maybe of the low quality of the green beans, maybe of the consistency, because it's gonna make it easier to have the same dark burnt coffee each and every time. There's a lot of things
Oh,
that
they have
affect
to be
this.
consistent in what their
Yes,
products. That's
because
true.
like whenever we're gonna roast medium or medium light or like lighter than dark to show those
Yeah.
flavors, we really need to take into consideration a lot of aspects
Okay.
and to keep it consistent, to keep having those flavors every time.
Okay.
Yes.
So, is there any flowered flavors in the coffee?
As it smells,
Yeah, is there? I know there's nutty and chocolatey and fruity,
Yeah.
but I wasn't sure if there's flowery.
yeah, it is like floral.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's really known in Ethiopian coffee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's known to
Okay.
be super floral.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Coffee can really be magnificent, amazing,
Yeah.
and super sweet,
Yeah.
which is really different for people to perceive.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really something nice, like I've been seeing in people recently, which is like I get to sit with older generations,
Yeah.
which I think it's really hard to convince them with such coffee.
To change their habits.
Yes.
Yeah.
But whenever I get to compare coffee with wine, it makes it easier for them.
Yeah, they understand the
Exactly.
relation. Yeah.
They get to understand that as wine gets from its terroir a lot of things,
Yeah.
same as coffee, and
Okay.
it's not supposed to be bitter. And the bitterness comes from basically burning the coffee,
Okay.
which is not the case.
Okay, so let's smell this coffee.
Yeah, it got a little bit cold right now,
Yeah,
so you're
it's
not
okay.
gonna smell
It's-
that aromatic, but
But
you
it
can
smells
taste it.
kind of fruity.
Yeah, it is. It's fruity and floral.
Oh, and floral
Yeah.
also. Oh, you said it's from Ecuador.
It can be.
So how are we supposed
Floral
to
as
taste
well.
it?
Normally, just
Just normally?
like drinking it normally, yeah.
Because it's very good.
And it's super sweet.
Yeah,
It
it
tastes
is.
like orange peels and like pomelo.
Yeah, because when I visited the brewery
Yeah.
and you were tasting the coffee, you had to do this like
The
big
slurping thing.
slurping.
Yeah,
I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm not used to it yet, but
No, like
I just did a little slurp.
yeah.
But that's the way how you taste the coffee to make sure.
Exactly. That it's a cupping method.
Okay.
It's a quality thing we do to taste the coffee, to keep
Right.
it consistent, and even to assess the coffee. It's
Okay.
just a quality method we get to do in the roasteries to maintain the quality of the coffee and like to
Okay.
taste the new coffees.
It's very interesting because people from all social classes,
Yes.
everybody drinks coffee.
Exactly.
So it's I think it's like one of the few things in the whole world that reunites all
Exactly.
cultures, all peoples, all languages, all religions. Everybody drinks coffee.
Which is something super, super good.
Yeah.
Because like we can all unite
Yeah.
on drinking one thing,
Right.
which is really not the case in anything else.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
other than water, for
Maybe
sure.
water and tea a little
yeah,
bit.
water and tea.
Yeah.
But even like everywhere, people drink coffee,
Yeah.
and everyone appreciates the coffee they drink.
Yeah.
And it really makes a lot of gathering between friends, families, even in weddings
Yeah.
and sad occasions. It's really something to be appreciated more and more,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Is that why it's becoming more and more popular?
Because it's like everyone can drink it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
It's easy. I mean, you don't have to go and make a big thing when you go out, like get a whole meal. You can just
Yeah.
get a cup of coffee.
It might be one of the reasons that make it popular is that it can make a lot of people sit and drink it and enjoy it together,
Yeah.
and it's really like accessible.
Right.
It can be one of the things.
Okay.
Because like previously, a long time ago, they used to do like coffee houses
Mhm.
where people sit and talk a lot all day long about
Philosophy
like,
and things. Yeah. You like
political-
philosophy.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So what's philosophical about coffee?
A lot of aspects, honestly. Yeah, but this is my my own opinion.
Okay.
There's a quote for Socrates that says, "An unexamined life is not a life worth of living."
Yeah.
And in my opinion,
Yeah.
I believe that an unexamined cup of coffee is not a cup of coffee worth of drinking.
Okay.
Because it's really important and nice. And if you think a little bit more about it, why I don't like to think a little bit more about the coffee I drink?
Mhm.
Like I've been drinking the same coffee for a very long time,
Mhm.
the dark bitter one. And why should I keep drinking it after knowing that this is not the real taste of coffee when
Right.
I can get to have a new experience and
Every
open my
time,
eye
too.
each and every time?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And this is one really thing that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
At the beginning, Saeed used to tell me like my brain is in the frame because I really used to like one type of origin.
Okay.
But I discovered that the more I'm open to all types of origins, the more I'm gonna have better experiences,
Yeah.
and the more sensory experiences I'm gonna realize that they are there.
You're awakening different senses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like traveling. You
Right.
travel to a new country, you see a different nature.
Right.
Like drinking different coffee is gonna take you like to a different country. You're gonna discover the terroir, the everything related to this
Yeah.
coffee and
The
that.
earth, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. What about milk and sugar and honey and cream? Like, what do you think about people that add that to their coffee?
It's really about their perspective.
Okay, just how they like to
People
drink
might
it.
enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So they can do it. There's nothing that says that you can do nothing.
Okay,
But like for me, I really enjoy drinking the coffee as black as it is.
okay.
It shows the most of its flavor. That's
Mhm.
why. But for sure, for some people, they might like to add milk, sugar, or something else to change the taste.
Right.
But in my opinion, it's because the taste of coffee they don't like.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I usually get to tell people about try
Okay.
drinking really
Right.
good black coffee because they usually run away from bitterness
Yes.
and the
I
burnt
do
harsh
that.
taste.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whenever you're gonna start drinking better coffee, which tastes more sweet and more interesting,
Mhm.
slow, you're gonna develop this habit of drinking this really good coffee, and you're gonna realize it's not burnt or harsh or bitter.
Mhm.
It's really something enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I don't need to add anything
Like this
to it.
one.
This one.
This one is
it's super
delicious.
sweet. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it's really
I
nice.
tasted it in the
It's-
morning and I was, ooh, this is
It's
really
like a
good.
tea with a little bit extra caffeine.
Kind of,
Well, not
kind
tea,
of.
but I mean, you know.
Kind of.
What if we want to, when we want to make coffee at home? Because we
Yes.
can't always go to a specialty
Yes.
coffee shop, and there's different methods. Like, I mean,
Yes.
you can just do the instant coffee, or we
Sure.
can have the capsules of French press, or I
Yes.
don't know what. Like, what do you recommend if we want to drink a nice cup of coffee at home?
In my opinion, if I
Yeah.
want to do something at home, I'm not having any access to any tools, like a lot of tools.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Because they're
can
expensive too.
a little bit,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
A little bit, yes. But we can manage to find, like, for example, a French press, which
Yeah.
is not that expensive and the normal price,
Yeah.
and not to complicate things.
Right.
This is always what I aim for, not to complicate anything. That we can do a French press at home using a blender to grind the
Oh,
coffee
okay.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be better than buying the coffee already as a ground coffee.
Oh, it's better to grind it at home.
Yes, like
Okay.
to grind it directly. It's gonna
Yeah.
preserve and have more aromas and flavors. So
Okay.
there's always a way to do things.
Okay.
If we're not doing it super professional at home,
Right.
that's fine because it's at home. It's not
Yeah,
a
we
coffee
can't
shop
do it
or a
all the time.
competition.
And we don't have time also.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus, we don't always need to be that perfectionism in our home. Like, we just need a really good cup of coffee that can work out using a blender and a French press, for example.
Okay.
Or buying a small handy grinder,
Yeah.
which is not that expensive. There's always a way for everything.
Right. Where would we find the beans?
The beans,
Yeah.
there's a lot of like coffee sellers in the country right now. For me, I really got my beans from where I'm working recently. I'm working at Bean Harbor, which is a specialty coffee company in Lebanon. We do source and roast locally. So I'm recently getting all my beans from there.
Okay.
There's a bit of different roasteries in Lebanon that I really also appreciate their coffees. There's like Calais, they do roast, source,
Yeah.
and sell. There's a Krum coffee, and there's Oda Arabica who serves also.
Okay.
Maybe I've missed someone, and my
Right.
apologies if I missed someone, but those are the ones I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a couple more questions. One, the Italians, they don't drink cappuccino. They say no
Yeah.
cappuccino in the afternoons.
Yes.
So is there any other like coffee anecdotes about different cultures around the world that is a little bit special or unique to their culture?
Maybe. I've not been everywhere to
Oh,
answer
okay.
on this question.
Okay.
This is really a deep question that if I want to answer to, I need to have the experience of going everywhere and knowing.
Okay.
Because if I'm gonna talk about something, maybe I'm gonna miss something else.
Okay.
So.
But if you have one example or something,
Right
if you
now,
know.
nothing is on my brain.
Okay.
Honestly, about this
Okay, because
subject.
okay,
Yeah.
I'll ask you a specific question because coffee started in Ethiopia.
Yes,
Do they have any
they
special?
say.
As they say,
as they say.
I heard it was a goat herder who passed, and
Yes,
his goats
as
ate
is
the
it- as
beans.
it said,
Yeah.
the goats used to eat those berries and got more
Excited,
active.
yeah.
So the people started by trying those berries, and then
Right.
they found out that they can roast them, like
Yeah.
burn them, and to try them to drink them.
Yeah.
Coffee really evolved around all the world. So talking about coffee history is really debatable, which is something I really always like stay away from.
Okay.
Because like each and every person listened to something and
Right.
read something.
Yeah.
And it really just gets to be a little bit hectic and debatable.
Yeah.
Uh,
History is written by the victors.
Exactly,
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah, yeah.
So like usually I stay away from history and I just like focus on really what we have right now.
Okay.
Yeah. What I really like to mention about is like something people are not aware of is that caffeine, because like throughout what I experienced and throughout the culture in Lebanon,
Yeah.
people think that it's better to drink dark roasted coffee because it contains less caffeine. And this is really
caffeine. I was just going to ask you about caffeine
Okay.
actually now.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, continue your thought.
because really people tended at some point to drink, some of them tend to drink dark roasted coffee because they think that's less in caffeine. But it's roughly the same between medium
The
light
caffeine
roast
doesn't
and
change.
not
The
that
level
much.
of caffeine
As
doesn't
roasting,
change.
not that much.
Oh, okay. I thought
It
it would
doesn't change during roasting, no.
Oh, okay.
It's just roasting dark, it just burns all the flavors in coffee. It's like caramelizing sugar, let's
I
say.
see. Okay.
It's gonna just burn all the taste.
Right.
But if we're talking about caffeine, it's really a nice topic that
Yeah.
people are not aware of, that it can be really interesting and can be really harmful at the same time.
Okay.
Because like caffeine is one of those active biological components in coffee, which is an alkaloid that belongs
Right.
to the drug family like cocaine,
Yeah.
morphine, and nicotine.
Yeah.
And this is really something people are not aware about. They just like abuse using caffeine to boost themselves
Right.
and to do their work. But throughout what I did studied, and I knew that it really contains a lot of effects on our like pharmacokinetic level and like
Okay.
pharmacodynamic level, which really all affects our heartbeats, our mentality. And this is something I really saw among my friends. When they reduced the amount of caffeine they used to drink, their
Right.
mental health got better.
Oh, I see.
A lot.
I was wondering, I mean, they say coffee is addictive.
Yes,
but
it
do you
is.
consider it, I don't like to use this word, but I
Yeah.
mean, they say it as a drug, but do you consider it?
It is.
Okay.
Anything that's used and make you like addicted to it, it's a drug basically. It can
Right,
be
right.
anything, but like
Okay.
caffeine itself, it belongs to a drug family.
Right, okay.
And it can really affect on the health in a good way, and it can really affect on a bad way.
Okay.
Which is one of the nice parts about using Arabica and specialty coffee and not using Robusta, in my opinion, is that
Oh, I
it does
see.
have half the amount of caffeine.
Oh, it has half the amount of
Yes.
caffeine. Oh,
And
okay.
usually in commercial coffee, they like used to blend more with Robusta because it's
Right.
cheap and because it gives this bold, strong flavor,
Okay.
which makes commercial coffee on a more caffeine level.
Okay.
So people who tend like to have, let's say, caffeine problems, to go towards Arabica, like
Yeah.
really good Arabica, and like drink in a mature way, it's gonna be a good, super good for them.
Mhm.
It's gonna increase their focus, it increases their metabolic rates, it's gonna make them much more happy and much more
Right.
better.
So make the right choices and know how to manage
Exactly.
them. Okay.
Yeah.
What about decaffeinated coffee?
Decaffeinated coffee is really a wide subject because it really goes back to the way this coffee had been decafed. There's like different methods.
Yeah, how do they decaf coffee?
There's like it's been done with the Swiss water one method,
Oh.
and you have another method like it's done with carbonated filters and the
Right.
chemicals, which
Right.
they like get to put those coffees in like some kind of chemicals, and then they get to filter through carbon filters. But in my opinion, it does get to have less amounts of caffeine, but is it worth it?
I don't know.
I'm
I guess some
asking.
people ask if they want
Yeah.
a cup of coffee in the afternoon, they say it's worth it.
So why don't they get to tend to drink a better kind of quality of
Okay.
green beans?
Because it's not
like, honestly,
completely decaffeinated.
No, it's
They,
not.
they
Not
call it
completely.
decaf, but it's
Yeah.
not 100%
No,
decaffeinated.
for sure not.
Yeah.
Plus, all the chemical process that gets to put this coffee through is gonna have an
Oh,
effect
I
on health.
see. Okay.
It's like doing anything, but in a
Right.
reduced risk way.
Right.
It's gonna still have the risk if they're. This is what they're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to open one day a specialty coffee shop in Lebanon?
I might be.
Yeah?
Yeah, on the long term.
Yeah.
Like if you ask me about what I have in mind on the long term, I would love to build my house on the upper floor, my living,
Yeah.
and on my down floor, which is a small roastery and a small
Oh,
coffee shop.
that's nice.
Yeah, with a nice garden, just for the
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
for everyone to enjoy a good cup of coffee.
A sustainable coffee shop also, not just
yeah.
specialty.
No, a very consistent, sustainable, smooth, and nice for everyone.
That
Yeah.
sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to
Yeah,
that. I hope you'll,
hopefully,
yeah, and
hopefully.
you'll let us know, of course.
Sure, I will. Sure, I will. By then, sure, I will.
So I have, first, I just want to say, I think coffee also builds memories
It does.
when we get together with
So
people,
true.
just like we're building a nice memory
true.
here, you and I today. And, did you want to say
No,
something?
it's fine.
Oh, okay. So I just want to ask you one last question.
Yes.
What makes the ordinary extraordinary?
In my opinion, it's
Yeah.
passion,
Yeah,
love, and kindness.
yeah.
Like, you can get to have a good coffee from a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
But what really matters by the end of the day is with whom you're drinking this cup of coffee,
Mm-hmm.
who taught you about this cup of coffee, and what's the aim after drinking this cup of coffee. Like, for me, drinking a good cup of coffee makes me think a lot about people who I love, about my teacher,
Mm-hmm.
which
He's
I
here,
really,
by the way.
yeah,
Can
he
we
is, he
mention
is.
Said is here
Yeah.
listening to us? I hope we have his approval.
So to talk about Said is a really humble,
Yeah.
passionate guy.
Yeah,
And I really like this guy, not only like as a teacher, as a best friend, because he's really guiding me through life.
yeah. A lot of philosophical
A lot,
thoughts.
honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Look at the face.
And he's really passionate.
Yeah,
And he really shows you that passion is like one of the most important things
yeah.
in anything to do.
Yeah.
Doing it passionate, pouring your love into the cup is gonna make it all at the end of the day.
This is wonderful, Bahaa. I really appreciate you coming. And I have to mention, like, you're just 23 years old. I think
Yes.
this is incredible, the
I
way,
am.
the knowledge that you know and the
Thank you.
experience you're
Thank you.
gaining, and you're such a young age. So
Thank you.
you have so much to look forward to. And we have a lot to look forward to from you
Sure,
also.
sure.
So thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
reaching out and coming to sit with me.
My
And
pleasure.
I'm really looking forward to see every step of the way that
Definitely, for
of your
sure.
journey.
It will be lovely for you joining us on many different things.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
looking forward to it.
For sure.
Thank you so much, Bahaa.
My pleasure.
Thank you.